Our next guest is Matt Maloof, a BNB host and author of several ebooks, including Short-Term Success Stories from the Edge, volumes 1 and 2, which is also available on Amazon. In this interview, Matt shares his undoubted experience. Take a listen.
I've been doing real estate investing for about 14 years now. I have my license here in California. And I've started off wholesaling and flipping properties. I flipped the first condo that I initially bought for myself, moved up into a house and picked up some multiple rentals, a combination of property managers and landlord self and such with various results, mixed results. Then a little more of the creative investing and such. And I've had a short-term rental in Central America as part of a condo hotel project for about 12 years now. Yes. So much more of a hands-off investment because my time is usually pretty limited and all. And just really the last couple of years, I'm more into Airbnb just because it kind of allows me to combine my passions of business building, business consulting with travel, with real estate. So it's nice to just be able to get out and travel and go property shopping and such wherever you can. And doing the short-term rentals is a lot easier. It allows me to either to buy a property that might fit my portfolio. It allows me to maybe just quickly consult with somebody and help them get their property set up and such. That's what they want to do, or get their investments set up and such. Kind of depending on what they have. And then also led me to back into writing and working on a couple of recent book projects that I've been doing relating to short-term rental success stories. So the way I set my side hustle, my business and such up, it has to be running more or less pretty smooth and pretty efficient. I do leverage a lot of other people's efforts and their resources and their time. And it's better to partner with the right people and more people, and we all make money together. We all have
a win-win situation.
More abundance together. Excuse me?
It's a win-win situation for you.
As much as possible. Win-win-win for the guests and other business partners as well.
So Matt, you were kind of a superman, really, because from what you tell me, with your full-time job in, traffic management or whatever it is, as an engineer, as well as, short-term rental is not for the faint-hearted, as you well know. It involves a lot of work. And how many properties do you have?
Currently, 4 right now. 4 properties in three countries, yes.
In 3 countries, boy.
Yeah.
Now, talk about spreading yourself geographically, isn't it?
I've acquired those properties over the last 12 years, slowly but steady. I've kind of since I've been in the real estate game for a number of years, I kind of know what I'm looking for a little bit more. It took a lot of research and travel and such to see what was going on. I looked at dozens of properties before I actually pulled the trigger on it. 2 I actually own, and 2 are more of like a master lease model, where my business partner and I are leasing the apartments and then re-renting them out on short-term rentals for business travelers is our market for those properties.
I see. So in terms of occupancy, how do you, for you, it falls on your lap because you're into all this traffic management and all that stuff. But for people like us, and other would-be short-term rental investors, managing traffic and driving traffic to your apartments is one of the things that we rely on Airbnb and HomeAway to do for us. But sometimes it's not enough. How do you increase your occupancy?
I go by, I think, Airbnb, relying on them to give you exposure or marketing is definitely not enough. I personally go by the philosophy that they provide 0. I don't worry about what they're providing. I worry about the unique experience that we're providing for our guests. So one of the properties I have in Central America is part of a condo hotel project. It's a large resort. It's a combination of a hotel, condominiums, houses. They recently finished a casino, some pools, yacht, other things. So they do very well, and they have a much bigger marketing budget for marketing the rental pool there. So I kind of leave that to them. Another property that I have in Central America is a little bit more focused on social impact investing. So we kind of work with an NGO, a non-governmental organization, a nonprofit that runs the local women's group and education center and library and such in that area to provide short-term and mid-term rentals for volunteers. So people that are kind of be volunteering for a week or a month or 2 months. We have our property in the rental pool. We kind of help manage some of the other short-term rentals that they have there as well to get occupancy, but then focusing on our unique experience that we provide for the volunteers that are coming in. So we already have a lot of people interested in staying in the area, interested in having a local cultural experience, and so we help to kind of add that as with our housing. So our housing is not more first world style; it's a little bit more local, third world style-ish.
Right.
Where there's amenities. We try to focus on that unique experience that these people are going to have, because they may or may not return, but we want them to walk away with a ton of memories of the people that they met, the food that they ate, the culture that they experienced. So I think anybody really focusing on that first will really ease their marketing. It'll help them showcase whatever platform they're going to use, whether it's Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook groups, ads, et cetera, et cetera. In South America, we focus mostly on business travelers and potential immigrants that are moving to South America to either start their business or relocate for their company, as there's some areas down there that are really starting to boom. So we kind of first figure who our avatar is and who really likely to stay there. We modify, make sure that all of our amenities and such geared to make that person not only comfortable, but to have a good, memorable experience, that they remember how comfortable the beds were. They remember the artwork on the walls, the design, the amenities that were provided to them, from local coffee to local food and drink and such. It's that we place in the apartments and the cabin in the other one and such. I think
that's a very good way to also attract people, because in terms of competition, everybody wants to provide hotel-like 5-star accommodation. But when you're providing something that is culturally rich, and so the guest coming knows that they're not coming to a 5-star hotel, they're coming to enjoy what they can find within the particular area. So I think it's a very good thing you're doing there.
Yeah, and the one thing I think a lot of hosts get caught up in, I see time and time again, is they do try and provide a hotel-like experience, and then the guests sort of expect the hotel-like experience. But maybe if they're newer, or there's a hiccup, something doesn't go wrong, and they don't get a hotel-type resolution quickly, then that's where some of the poor reviews can happen and such.
Yeah, this is a good lesson in review management.
I think so. We try to be good hosts first and foremost. I always go back to the example of Disneyland. I mean, Disneyland, while they do hotels, the Disneyland parks provide you a unique experience, somewhere you really can't get anywhere else. So what we try and focus on, what's our unique experience that we provide to our guests. And so while business travelers will work for us in South America, they're not going to work for us in Central America because that's not the property that we've geared that for. It's just not. So I think if we begin with the end in mind, we begin with the guest, what sort of memories we can provide the guests, and making those as good as possible, as memorable as possible, and we tackle. This is where having a local partner on the ground that can really handle the day-to-day minutia or the day-to-day problems or issues that might come up, whether the Wi-Fi's out, and we don't even provide Wi-Fi in one of our cabins. But and some people think that's crazy, but
Especially in 2018.
It is, but people are not necessarily staying at our cabin, which is really in a rainforest, a couple blocks from a huge freshwater lake. While Wi-Fi would be nice, not really there to be on Wi-Fi and to be on the phone all the time. If you're gonna, you can purchase an internet plan for about $12 for the week. That'll let you be on Facebook, Pinterest, Messenger, whatever, WhatsApp, all you want all week long. But we'd rather just defer to that than have to deal with the monthly internet bill and such at the house and deal with that. And we let people know up front that, we don't have Wi-Fi, we don't provide it. We'd rather you get out and walk. There's far better personal interaction and socializing that you could do in that particular village and area. And, the people that understand that are sort of in conjunction with how we feel about that, they don't have a problem with it. We're so reasonably priced, to be honest. At the end of the day, they're just, they're pretty happy with what they've got. So,
right. Running a short-term rental accommodation in different countries, Matt, how do you do it? Because it's very interesting. Because a lot of people have come to ask me, can I have properties in different locations? In fact, geographically, in the United States, some are even advocating not to have more properties in different states. And in Europe, a lot of people are saying you shouldn't have more properties. Even in the UK, they say don't have properties in Manchester or London and in Bristol because you can't manage them. But you're doing in almost 3 different countries. Do you set up a team? Do you do remote management? How do you do it? Because this response would really go home very well to people like me who are looking to scale in other countries as well.
Let's see. For me personally, based on my term, I try and be more of like a district manager than a manager, where I don't necessarily deal with the day-to-day minutia and property and issues of the properties, getting them ready, turning them over, cleaning, that sort of thing. I have like a house porter or business partner that handles all of that, and then I work with my business partner there to make sure that the overall numbers that we hit month to month and the things that we're doing are going smoothly and correctly and such. So I try and find, for me personally, part-time in other countries, and these are also countries and areas that I've visited first. I've seen the properties, beforehand and such. I think it's very difficult to buy properties in other countries if you haven't been there and if you don't know the culture and heritage and history of the country that you're investing in, because so many countries are so ingrained to their culture and their history that they might do things that wherever we're from we think is weird or different, but that's the way they do things out there. So we either have to adapt or pass on that.
Yeah.
I think, if you haven't been there, it's going to make things a lot more difficult, especially to find somebody, all of my property managers, business partners I work with, I've seen them face to face, eye to eye. We looked in the eye, we broke bread together. We had some drinks together to discuss how we run our business, how we should communicate and things like that, and how to handle problems and how problems should be handled. While we might disagree from time to time on exact little details, overall our philosophies are congruent together. So that, I think, is probably the best advice I would give, is to find, if you're going to work with a partner or you're going to hire a partner, and ours, the relationships that I have is more of a business partner based. So we do share profits, we do share revenue and such, versus an employer-employee relationship. And sometimes that might work better for other people. It just kind of depends. I think when they sit down in the beginning to really game plan out what is it that they want to get out of this short-term rental journey. What do they define as success for them? Is it making a ton of money? Is it building an empire? Is it just sort of making some extra money to pay mortgage, to allow you to travel? Because, while I'm not an accountant by any stretch of the imagination,
I am.
Yeah. Well, there you go. So people should call you and talk to you about how they might be able to write off their travel expenses as businesses, depending on how much business that they're going there to do and things like that. So, if you can travel to places that you enjoy, you can go to places that have meaning to you and that you like to be at, and if you just happen to be able to write some of it off, why not? Never hurts to spend a day, literally, like for me this last June, trucking through some jungles, looking at property, looking at lands, looking at houses, potential home sites, looking at some small acreage that maybe you could do a little eco resort at, or something. So, but it never hurts to look, especially if you're already there. Why not? And that's why most people kind of get started in short-term rentals, I think, is they go somewhere, they enjoy being there, and then they want to go back, or they want to have a reason to go back. So what better reason to have a property you can always use to make some money off of it? And that's I think the entrepreneurial way and such, to enjoy your life and figure a way you can make some money from that as well.
Which is great. Matt, you talk about something which resonates with me. I've set up a company called BNB Continental. Basically, BNB Continental is to help would-be entrepreneurs who are scaling their businesses, whether in their country of origin or in other countries like you're doing. And what we're looking to do is to find global city partners, exactly what you have with the people you break bread with, your partners in all those countries, so that they have a co-ownership mentality of the business you're running in those countries. So it's a profit-sharing thing rather than, an employee mindset. So that, I think, is the way that we believe would help people scale their businesses in other countries, which you're already doing, which is fantastic.
It's a lot of fun because, you get to provide jobs to a local economy, and then you're almost like the business guru or something, so to speak, there as well, because there's a lot of these countries that really, a lot of these people say are averaging maybe a 7th or 8th grade education, just because of the way the educational systems are set up in some of these countries. They don't necessarily have the opportunity to complete their full education, but they do have in their hearts and in their guts a desire to do better for themselves and a want to do better for themselves. And they don't always necessarily have the means or the method, or they don't know what they don't know. So sometimes we can help them and kind of coach them and bring them along on our journey. And they see that, we have some synergies together that it helps. It helps a lot, because then as the short-term rental business manager in the area, you can help on board a couple of other people that, maybe they're your competitors or maybe not. But it'll allow you to stay sharp and keep your game up. Or in our case, we have people bringing us properties all the time to either
from those countries.
Yes. Yeah. We were, when we were in Central America this last June, we literally had our business manager, house porter, gal, bring us 3 other houses that, with, were below market. They're undervalued because I really only like properties that are 70 cents on the dollar or less, preferably 50. But, a distressed property or a distressed situation that I can come in and help solve the owner's problem and pick up the property at a discount, fix it up, spruce it up a little bit. Now with a short-term rental mentality in mind, we can bring on a few properties a little bit quicker and a little bit better. But people will bring those to you because while they know something needs to be done to it, they might not know what needs to be done, and they might not know how to execute it. So we can be the CEO executor of that, so to speak, and help them when we bring in some more jobs, getting it fixed up, getting it managed. Because in a lot of these countries too, the average salary is maybe $10, $12 a day. You pay them $12 to $15 a day with incentive bonuses to keep up, like for your cleaning people, to make sure that as long as you keep getting 5-star cleaning reviews, every quarter you get an extra bonus and such, which, maybe a $10 or $15 bonus might not seem like a lot to you. It means a lot to some of these people to have an extra $10 or $15 for their family, for schooling, for education, for the kids, and things like that. And there's a number of ways that you can really make money while doing some good, and it feels a lot better. It's really cool. I touch upon it in my chapter a lot, and in my first 2 volumes of our short-term rental success stories from the Edge book series.
You've written a book, haven't you?
I contributed to it. It's more of a book project where we have multiple co-authors in various parts of the short-term rental industry, contributing and talking about their success stories and how they define success with given a themes and such. So that way, if anybody looking for not necessarily how-to, but more smaller tips and tricks and stories of, hey, look, these people did something great in the short-term rental space. I can too, and you can to get a little inspiration and a little advice and such from that. So, and it's helped me be a lot better of a host and entrepreneur, kind of putting all of this together too. So I've learned a lot as well.
What is very interesting is, first of all, I'd like you later on, we'll talk about this book because I'd like to be #1 fan of it. Think when I did some background search about you, I saw some material that you co-produced and things like that. I didn't quite get it. So we'll talk about it. But one of the things I want to find out, you have fantastically brought together an international flavor about the short-term rental space. First of all, when you go to these countries, do you use the master lease option, or do you do co-hosting? Because there seemed to be a bit of not so warmness towards the master lease, because people think you rent a property from a landlord and then you rent it again, and then if there's no occupancy is not great, then you're lumbered with all the costs to the landlord and all that. How do you ensure that your neck is not deep in the well?
I've been there, done that already. So I know what it's like to have so much expenses, and you have to run it so optimal to make anything. I think the master lease doesn't work well in more first world countries because the rents are so prohibitively expensive. In some countries, now I'm speaking mostly from Latin America, because that's the most cultural and heritage familiarity with. So in Latin America, most countries, most cities, towns, villages, etc., have very affordable rents. You go in, you can negotiate, just directly with the landlord, directly with the owner, sometimes paying a year cash up front for an apartment or a house. I've seen instances where we could negotiate, let's say, for a large metropolis or a capital city, 3-bedroom, 2-bath apartment in a skyrise, in a decent area, middle working class, a little bit above, for about $600, $500 US per month, which is half of what you would spend or pay for something similar in Southern California, Texas, and things like that. So you can bring your economics down a lot more. You have a one-time cost for the year, and then you can start hustling to put it up on quote unquote that master lease program. And because internet in a lot of these countries is usually a little more expensive, but cars, security, maids, things like that are all a lot less. So when you look at, say, just a 1-year period, if I was going to do a master lease in say Houston or Miami or something, it might run me $25,000 to $30,000, let's say, over the course of the year, for everything, for all my hard costs, to furnish it, to decorate it, to get all that in place. Where in most places in Latin America, it's easily less than $10,000. So if you think over the course of a year, you run your numbers and you do your research, and you think, okay, if it's going to cost me $8,000 or $9,000 up front, and I, based on my research and what I can do, what I can bring to the table, get that up to 15, 20, 25, 30, whatever your particular number is for your time and effort you're going to put into this. then then the master lease probably work better. In South America, we are using the master lease a little bit more just because of that. I don't think it'll be a great strategy maybe 5 or 6 more years down the line, but there is enough vacancy in the area and where we're at. My business partner there, she's really great now at finding opportunity and just negotiating. And she's a great negotiator and a great hustler, and just negotiated with the landlord of the building to rent out a couple of other apartments in her building where she already lives. So it's much easier for her to rent them, manage them, sometimes clean them, hire cleaners and such. So it's just logistically so much easier to do. So, and then we recently took those off of Airbnb just because of the financial payment system there in a lot of countries, and this is another thing that I think people should look at in like the US, the UK, France, Germany, a lot of these countries, the payment systems and platforms for credit cards and such is a little bit more well developed. It's a little more cost effective.
Yes.
In some of these other countries, a surcharge of 8 to 10% of the purchase price is very common. So it might take your room, let's say you could make money or you could make a profit $40 or $45 a night, but now when you add in credit card processing fees and such, that could jump up to $55 a night. And then based on that 45 versus 55, you're looking at say $45 a night. You could be at 70% occupancy and making okay money, but at 55 a night, your occupancy could go in half, just because of the convenience of using Airbnb and the fee processing system that they have. So it's very important to kind of take that into account. So we've gotten enough reviews and such where we just took it off of Airbnb, and then we just deal with the people that contact us directly on our website that are coming in for either relocation or immigration purposes there, because right now that industry is booming so much. I mean, we're at 80% occupancy, 90% occupancy at a very good price. And plus, when you're helping somebody with their immigration or their relocation to a new country, to have them, on the same floor or the floor above you on a nightly basis to go over any problems or issues or things that come up is, far easier logistically. So it kind of helps with a little bit of the business synergies there as well. So it's kind of nice.
That is fantastic. This is absolutely great for me, because what is happening? So what about the payment systems? First of all, do you receive payments via your own website? Because if you're to forestall the costs associated with Airbnb, HomeAway, TripAdvisor, Expedia, and Booking.com, then obviously you're going to have to receive payments from your own website. Is that what you're doing?
Not anymore. No, we just go with either a Western Union payment or cash on hand when they arrive. We do have payment processing locally in the local country with the local currency, so people can use their credit card when they get here directly. But usually we just require a small deposit. We can include that with the immigration fees and such. And usually that just goes over Venmo or a Western Union.
I see. Let me also talk about something pertinent to the international flavor, and that is security of guests. In the Western countries, somebody will come to my apartment. I never think about security. But in other places, in other less developed countries, security of guests is very important. How do you manage that? How do you keep tab to ensure that the guests, as you say, you're looking to give the guests a good experience? How do you ensure that they are actually secure themselves and their property?
Oh, that's a great question. We provide safes, small safes bolted down in each of our places for their personal belongings and such. And we really try and make sure that, okay, the properties that we are actually renting or purchasing and such are in safe environments and safe neighborhoods. There's in Central America, the condo 24-hour security and everything. In another part of Central America, it's more of a small village where everybody pretty much kind of knows everybody else. It's one of those things we've sort of tried to make as much relationships with the locals and the people as we want to be like, if you rob or something bad happens to one of our guests, it just makes the whole town look bad. If the whole town looks bad, nobody's going to want it. Nobody wants to come visit. You guys aren't going to have any money to begin with. So while
you lose your jobs,
rob somebody for $50 now, you're going to hurt, you're going to hurt the next guy's mouth for hundreds later. People usually are a little more responsive to something like that. And, we also make it a point to know our neighbor across the street and both sides and behind us. They all have our WhatsApp numbers and such. So we communicate with them on the side, and they also provide a second set of eyes for us to make sure that
that's clever.
The cleaning people are they're cleaning. The guests, are good, decent people. Your business partner is staying on top of things, or the contractor that they've hired lately are using a little bit too much of their friends and such. So the work's maybe taking a little bit longer than it is, but some of those things you sort of expect to happen. It's just not too egregious and such. But we always make sure our neighbors across the way, we know who they all are, not just because we've seen them, but because we talk to them and we chat with them and we sort of let them know what's going on. Because like you may or may not know with condominiums and such, if your neighbors aren't cool with it, then it's not going to work out for you. Very well at all. While you could buy the nicest house, if it's a crappy neighborhood, not from the looks, but from the kinds of neighbors you have, it makes sense. I've had bad neighbors, in my younger, worser days. I probably was the bad neighbor, but the neighbors really make up the neighborhood. So you want to make sure that you screen the neighborhood as well as you can before you do. And that goes back to, not just visiting the country, visiting the locality and the location, what kinds of people are walking around, just generally what kinds of, areas, while a lot of poor areas at first glance, look terrible everywhere. It's not always the case. And you really got to kind of hone in your eye. Once you sort of train your eye for what to look for, what not to look for, how to prioritize things and such. And, a lot of these people, just because they don't have a lot of money, are such wonderful, kind-hearted people. They want to, they want to do better for themselves. They want to do better for their neighborhood, their villages, and where they're living. And if they feel that you can help them with that, they definitely want to help you out. So.
Oh wow! You've really blown my mind. I'm telling you that. You really blew my mind. Let me also get again onto security, because here in the Western world, we're very caught up with the smart homes, having your logbox, having CCTVs around, all of the gadgets that you can download on your app and see what is going on, all the noise wares and things like that. Do you think these are also the same, things that will be required in places which are not the US or Europe or Western world? Do you think there needs to be a different system to manage your property, especially if you live in the Western world? You live in the US, you have properties in parts of Central America, South America, or Africa, or India. How do you manage your properties or your business?
Yes, security. Coming from a background in security and security management for traffic and law enforcement and such, 100% agree that security is number one. However, technology can fail, and technology can have unintended consequences. Where if it's traditional for everybody, let's say to have cameras around, okay, cameras might be okay. But if all of a sudden you purchase a property, let's say you go and you fix it up a little bit, and then you add cameras, it makes people kind of look, say, oh, that Douglas guy came in, he bought the property, he spent all that money to fix it up, and he puts up some cameras. What's he hiding? So it can have that unintended consequence that maybe, depending on the area and depending on the culture and the heritage, the history of the area and such, that they can view it has the opposite effect of
It can attract people, bad people, to the property, you guess?
It might, because it's like you're drawing attention to yourself now to say, oh, look, this guy has got something so valuable to hide. He spent all that money to put cameras up. And cameras are very, make no bones about it. They're very easy to disable. They're very easy to take out, to control of.
I know all too well about that.
A lot of false security with cameras, depending on the type of technological security system that you have. They can be hacked, they can be taken out, and things like that. So you want to have a lot of basic deterrences as far as good fencing, good locks on the fencing. A dog in the area usually doesn't hurt. I love pit bulls. Pit bulls and Rottweilers are some of my favorites. They're such loving, wonderful animals with their families. And with guests when they're introduced properties, no problems. But they are a good deterrent for bad people looking to do bad things. We have bars on a lot of our windows and such, which is standard practice in the area. So
yes,
having bars on our windows is it doesn't make it look out of the norm. Not having bars makes it kind of out of the norm. So, we try to blend in as much as possible. We try to live like a local. It's part of the experience that we want to provide people as well. Is that you're living like a local. If you want all the porter, the concierge, we definitely love to help you. We try to make it more like you're staying with one of your friends. We're friends we haven't met yet. We're gonna hang out. If you want to break bread, have some wine or some dinner, we can do that. If you don't, you want to be a little more left alone. Okay, that's okay.
You might as well get a hotel then, isn't it? More or less.
We try not to be a hotel or hotel-esque. It's more of like, hey, Doug, you're my buddy. You're coming over. You're going to hang out. This is sort of an extension of my family, my room, my life. And you're integrating into that, whether it's a little bit or a lot. Every guest is different. So you just kind of have to gauge how much help they might need or want. But, having a good conversation with them, either on Skype or Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, beforehand usually kind of helps set the expectations. And usually just ask, So, do you want us to come around every morning, every day, 2-3 times a day to check on you, how things are going? Do you want us to be hands-on? Do you want, dinner every night? We can certainly provide that for you at a cost or however, and just kind of get a feel for the guest, what they like, and what they expect from you, as far as that goes in hospitality. Usually I've noticed bad reviews, whether it's from hotels or Airbnb, is just expectations were mismatched.
Yes.
What the guest was expecting to receive and what the host was expecting from the guest were a little bit off or mismatched. And just reduce that and just, go with, hospitality at the end of the day is just, providing a friendly environment for a stranger in a strange land.
Wow.
And
this is very deep. This is very deep. You're so knowledgeable. You're so experienced. And one of the questions I would go, we're just going to be finishing shortly. But what advice would you give to people who are looking to actually scale their businesses in Thailand, in Vietnam, in Indonesia, Malaysia, in Africa, in South America? What advice do you have people who live in these Western countries but have places they call homes and would want to start these short-term rental businesses there? What advice do you have for them? Because they seem to have that sort of experience.
I would say start in your comfort zone. Start with what you know as far as real estate techniques, and such, hospitality techniques, and then expand incrementally from there. Because making a mistake in another country when you're not there is a big deal. It's not like you can get in and drive or be at your place. Let's say if you have to be there within 24 or 48 hours sometimes, and by then it might be too late. So start with what you know, start with what you're familiar with, familiarize yourself as much as you can in the geographical area, and then incrementally expand from there. Focus on hiring and or partnering with top quality people. There's a book out there called Top Grading for when you're bringing on or hiring employees and such. But a lot of the techniques and tips and tricks there also work with bringing on business partners and such. People that like and trust and want to solve problems with. At the end of the day, I think if you can find people in these other countries that want to help you out, and there's a lot of people that do, that want to help you out, that you get along with great, and that you're like, this person's got me energized to solve some problems, and we can work through stuff together, then go with it. Any time you're going to invest any money, let's say, just in the back of your mind, be prepared to lose 100% of
it. That's not very encouraging, is it?
It's not, but if that's the worst case scenario and you can live with it, or you have a plan to get through it, everything else is gravy. I mean, it shouldn't happen, but let's just say that it does. And you're not going to be living out of a dumpster, or you're not going to be living off of ramen noodles for the next 6 years or something.
Yeah.
So whatever I'm going to invest into this project here in this other country, I'm okay with losing 100% of that. That's the level of risk that you should take. Because let's say on the off chance that you do, you get ripped off or whatever, God forbid, you've got a lesson, a big lesson learned. Maybe use it in a future chapter of one of my books on how to avoid that. But if they work with me, they won't have that problem. I like to go slow, steady, cautious, but then I'm always researching and looking at certain markets every week. So that way, when the time comes to make a decision, you can make a decision based on knowledge, information, and education that you've given yourself.
Right.
I'd say.
Right.
Little mistake.
Absolutely. Matt, you seem to have so much up your sleeve. What services are you providing? I know you've written a book. Do you want to talk to us a little bit about the book? And because a lot of us may want to benefit from it. And also, are there any other services you are providing to the short-term rental industry that people may want to know and engage you with?
Okay. I have a couple of books on short-term rentals on Amazon. So and they're available worldwide. So whatever country you're in, just go to your local country Amazon. Look up short-term rental success stories from the edge. We've got 3 volumes. Each volume has got a slightly different theme on success. They're all priced under $10 for the paperback version, $1 to $3 US for the Kindle version. I believe we made, if you buy the paperback version, you get the Kindle version for free. And such, so you can consume it however you like. None of them are more than 100 pages, so they're designed to be quick, easy reads. You can sit down and read the whole thing in an hour and a half max. I try to encourage people, just read 1 chapter a day. Take you about a week to go through it, and just get a little inspiration from some of the challenges that people have overcome. You'll get a lot of just clear-cut examples. Like, for me personally, I'm much more of a visual learner, and I like more examples. I like more stories of, how somebody overcame something, not necessarily just a textbook checklist thing. So that's, really the people are going to benefit the most out of this, is just being able to read other people's stories, taking their tips and tricks that they provide throughout their story to make it work for them and adjust it to them. Quick, easy read, very affordable. Coming up with some more volumes early next year. And I got a couple of other books on real estate investing, foreclosures, and wealth management, wealth building for teens, and things like that. They're all on there on my Amazon page. So if you just look for Matt Maloof on Amazon, for the author, you'll see those books come up. And then really all I provide is consulting services.
What sort of consultative services do you provide for people in the short-term rental industry?
I just go through and do a term analysis for them. There's a ton of courses, there's a ton of material out there, there's a ton of, wonderful things. And people always seem to get stuck on something. So whatever that something is that you're stuck on, I'll help you break through it in a couple of hours. And you can book me through clarity.fm/Matt Maloof and just book something online, half hour, an hour consult. I usually provide, for an hour consult or more, I provide 30 days of email follow-ups to go back and forth, clarify anything that you have. And we basically just do individualized term analysis for you to see what part of whatever you're working on needs to be tweaked or adjusted. There's a ton of great information out there. There's a ton of great books, online courses, everything. But there's always some little thing in there that you need help with, or you need to break through or struggle on. I like to think outside the box and figure out creative alternatives and solutions to things. So the people that I work with the best are people that are creative. They want a solution that's outside the box. They want something customized for them, tailored for them. It's individualized to get them to break through. Usually it's just a small little tweaks to get the biggest result. So that's really all we're looking for. I think kind of a value engineering and value analysis approach to sort of helping people just to overcome that. That's about it. That's what I enjoy doing. I've recently consulted with a gal who wants to start her own social impact investment short-term rentals in Peru, and just kind of going through. And I'm much more direct on a paid conversation than I am here. It's the tone and the directness is all dialed up a little bit more. It's no bullshit. I'm not gonna waste your time. Not gonna waste your money. I don't care if it hurts your feelings or you don't like it. You hire me to help you break through something. So we're just gonna nail it and break through it. And if you follow my steps, I usually just try and give 3 to 5 simple steps that the client can do to get over the hump. They do it, they'll break through it. If not, then I can't help them implement that. But they're so simple, shouldn't be an issue. But that's it. That's all I provide. Just some consultation, an ear to bend on, and if you want to think outside the box, there you go. If not, I got some entertaining and educational books out there to enjoy. Working on getting the audio books done, and those will be out soon, so you can enjoy those while you're on your commute or your next meeting and such. So.
How do people reach out to you? Is there an email or a website that they can reach out to? I know you've talked about your books.
Yeah, they can go to mylifeworldwide.com, and that's basically just my squeeze page and some info on international investing and kind of in general. A little bit of short-term rental stuff. As far as my email list, I only send an email maybe once a month, every other month. I'm not the big everyday emailer kind of thing, or however, if there's something interesting, I think people who've actually opted in and want to talk more, great, we'll do that. And anytime they want to hire me, I'm there. They can find me, read my books. Anybody that buys a book, I'll give them a discount on consulting, or I'll add extra time for them for that. And
great.
Want to live a prosperous life, and want everybody to live the highest, best, most prosperous life that they can live.
Sounds interesting. Matt, finally, if you're an animal, what animal would you be, and why?
An animal. Probably a tiger. They sleep a lot, but when they sleep a lot, but when it's time to go, they're ready to go. They're ferocious. They know what they want, and they go after it, and they get it. But when it's time to rest, they get a good rest, and they, a huge area to roam and wander and enjoy. So, like being outside, like being outdoors, roaming, wandering, enjoying. Sounds good to me. So
that's interesting.
But yeah, thanks for the curveball there.
Absolutely. It's been great having you, Matt. I can't thank you enough. And it's a wonderful time to have with you. I've learned a lot from you. As they say, you never stop learning as an entrepreneur. And we will put this together, and definitely would sound you out and put all the material you've given us. It's been wonderful. It's gold dust.
Cool. Yeah,
Thank you very much.
Douglas.